Telling guys, it's so important, and it's got nothing to do with changing who you are. It's got nothing to do with being a sellout. It's got nothing to do with forgetting where you come from. But one thing that you need to do, especially when you're on your way to improving your lifestyle, doing better, whether you want to call it earning more money, whether you want to call it living in a new area, whether you want to call it sending your kids to a new school, all those things. Unfortunately, if you going to elevate yourself, a lot of people would like you to believe, and this is people that are usually on the beginning of their journey. Now, a lot of people don't move on. A lot of people stay at the beginning. But let's say you grew up in an area where it is okay for you to steal the person's food next to you as hulle te stadig eat. Let's make an example like that, right? And you might have many reasons for doing it, for justifying that action. In fact, in your area where you come from, that might be quite normal. But if you tell yourself that, you know what, that is not my destination, and you find yourself in a situation now where there's enough food, you don't have to steal the food, you don't have to eat fast. At some point, you need to unlearn those, let's call it, bad habits, because you are no longer in the situation that you come from, right? Same like if you come from an area where you need to have big burglar bars and high walls, and you need to watch your back and all that stuff, and now you are finding yourself in an area that is much more safer. You've now worked hard, you've now got yourself out of that area, and you are now in a better area. There's no longer a requirement for you. Just because you come from that area, it doesn't mean that you are a sellout if you now no longer need to put burglar bars and you are a little bit more relaxed. Now, there are some people that's going to make you believe, or want you to believe, that because you've changed your mindset, you've evolved and you've moved on, that somehow het sy nou die mense waarvandaan sy kom verlaat en sy het hulle verkoop en daai. However, your behavior is not always acceptable everywhere you go, right? You have a thing called, let's say, business English, right? And just because it is okay for you to say, hey, you masapi, and all die dinge where you come from, let's say you now have gone to school, or you've now worked hard, and you've now started a business, and you now find yourself in circles of people that didn't grow up like that, and you are now needing to do business meetings. You now need to speak to these people. It is not okay for you to hold on to the your masapus mindset, because sy is in die circle. It's okay if you can be comfortable in that circle, but that doesn't copy and paste directly. And that is when you have people where the saying come from, dat jy kan die aap uit die bos uithaal, want jy kan nie die bos uit die aap uithaal nie. And it's a very derogatory saying to say. However, it does have some merits, because I understand what's your culture, I understand where you grew up, I understand where you come from. But if you are wanting to elevate, if you're wanting to move ahead, then you must understand that everybody does not come from the same place as you. And just as much as you want people to understand that about you, you need to understand that about them. And there are certain places where that behavior is in fact not welcome, right? And I'm going to use an example. In your home, it might be okay for you to swear, and it might be okay for you to walk around naked. You can't do that in a church. You can't do that in an office. It's not acceptable. And that for me is so telling about some people, is that you might have now put yourself in a higher level, in a higher circle. You need to elevate your mindset to match that higher circle. Okay? At party, jy wil African grey wil jy aanhou, maar jy het nie die resources of die mindset of die liefde vir animals om 'n African Grey aan te hou nie. Same goes for people that have dogs. If you have dogs, you need to have at least a level of love for your animal. Your animal can't live in filth. Your animal need to exercise. You need to feed your animal regularly, give them fresh water, and you must also wash them. It comes with a certain responsibility. Or else that is not for you. And unfortunately, in my book, how you treat your animals is directly linked to the type of person you are. If you can ill-treat animals, then you can ill-treat humans. It's like somebody that is being mean or being rude to the waitress. If you can be rude or condescending to the waitress, dan meen dit jy dink niks van mense wat onder jou is nie. Of even mense wat jy in jou mind sien as onder jou nie. And yeah, there will be people that's gonna argue, ja, ek word getarget en al die dinge. But pictures don't lie. And I'm gonna tell you now, if you can't, like me, I have 2 dogs. I would love to have more dogs because I love dogs, but I can't afford more dogs. I would love to have let's say a parrot or African Grey. But I don't have the resources, I don't have the know-how. It needs to be in a specific cage, they need to eat a specific diet. You need to be there to look after the animal. And if you're not that guy, then don't keep the animal. But the fact that you can sit and watch that animal suffer and go down, and that animal is completely dependent on you for its well-being, and you can't give it, and you also don't give the animal away, that makes you a bad person. And I'm obviously not speaking about anybody specific, but I'm just saying, if you can abuse animals, if you can allow your own animal to suffer and live in filth, and you come into your house every single day and you look at that animal and you don't feel anything, dan is jy 'n kakmens. En sy kan skree, en sy kan aangaan, en sy kan vloek, en sy kan mense threaten, en sy kan mense even net wat you support. It still doesn't change anything. Because it takes a different type of animal to watch a bird suffer and do nothing about it. It's actually quite crazy. But that is why I say you can be homeless and you can be proud of the fact that you are homeless, because you came from there, and you could be a drug addict, and you could heal from that, and you can move on. But at some point, you must only take the lessons from that period of your life. You cannot copy and paste that gedagtes. You cannot copy and paste that homeless gedagtes and that drug addict gedagtes and use it if you're no longer in that situation. It doesn't have a place anymore. It's like somebody that got married. The single life, the single mindset has no place in your new lifestyle. And I'm all for people evolving. I'm all for people doing better. But don't bring that here, man. I mean, actually, wat is scam? If the shoe fits you, dan moet jy vir jou wat is scam. But I must bet nobody. The shoe will fit nobody. Ek praat net in general en ek praat net in hypotheticals.